Well, this is a short video intended and offered as a way of kind of encouragement to keep softening on the path. That's why in many ways I do these videos, and why we, Amodamar, and I work and offer community to people. And so we have regular monthly meetings and weekly meditations. And what you notice after a while working with people and reflecting on one's own life is that it takes time really to soften. It takes layers removed, layers unveiled, layers of deepening. The human being is a rigid entity. The modern human being, I would say, is extremely rigid prisoner of culture in many ways, and trapped by conditioning, trapped by the layers of old emotion, trapped by the rigidity of beliefs, trapped in a kind of societal matrix of predominant memes and beliefs, and some known, many and most unknown. This is sort of pervasive in the modern human being, and has been, for a long time in many cultures, going back into history. But in some ways it's more prevalent now, because we have access to so much more information and manipulation and propaganda and memes and culture, and it just defines us completely. So what I'm saying is, if you want a deeper level of freedom and a deeper softening, it really takes time. You can't batter it. You can't beat yourself into submission. You can't think yourself into submission. Just because you want it doesn't mean to say you're going to get it. It takes time. It really takes time to soften and to start kind of peeking through the veils. And that's what I'm really talking about. And I wrote 4 lines. I came up at a meeting this morning. Behind fear is joy. Behind shame is dignity. Behind guilt is innocence. Behind all these veils is love. It's as though these veils of heavy emotions, particularly, not really talking about beliefs, talking about these veils of heavy emotions, of shame, of self-worth, of guilt, of very toxic anger, of self-negation. They all seem to be so true, and so we engage with them, and mostly on the spiritual path, on any transformational path, we engage with them like this, as an act of almost, I have to beat it. I have to beat it into submission. So kind of we almost wage a sort of war on ourselves, hoping, maybe imagining that that's going to give us some sort of relief. But by and by, the longer you go on the path, the more you realise that that's just not going to work. Really, you can't wage war on yourself in that way, hoping that it's going to bring some kind of equanimity or deepness or more love or more peace or anything like that. So a different strategy has to be employed. And ultimately, in many ways, the open softness of awareness, the openness of awareness, the softening of the rigidity. And you can only really find that softening through a kind of practice that is not a rigid practice, and B, it takes time, and C, it takes a kind of surrender, a willingness. Let's not use the word surrender then. A willingness to soften. A willingness to soften the rigidity of thought, of belief, and the rigidity that says, I can't do this. That's a very rigid idea. I can't open. That's a bit of a trap, right? And it's not true. It's not true. But there must be a great willingness to soften. And there are no quick fixes to that. But by and by, you get to know yourself, you get to know your patterns, you get to know deeper and look deeper into yourself. And by, over time, you kind of start, the softening starts to take place. That softening is really a deepening into a deeper awareness, a deeper awareness. It's like I was talking this morning, it's like when you go deeper and deeper and deeper, eventually you see the river running along here with the human aspects, the human emotions, the human beliefs running up here, or running along here like a river. Oh, there goes shame. Oh, there goes my guilt. Oh, there goes my drama. Oh, there goes all my wounding. It's kind of rolling on here. But you're down here. Like that. You're down here. It's not detached. It's deeper than. That's how the veils shift. That's how the veils shift. Ultimately, by seeing them from a more compassionate, detached awareness that has love as its intrinsic value, its intrinsic quality. And this is profound, but it's an ever deepening, a willingness to go ever deeper, and ever deeper. And that's where part of the sticking point is for a lot of people, because they think it's too hard, or I'll be too vulnerable, or I just can't because Pandora's box will open up and 1,000, 10,000 ghosts and ghouls and all manner of horrors will be released. So they go, no, but that's stuck. That's not really what happens. But we have to find that out for ourselves, because we're all each unique individuations. So nobody knows really what's going to happen for somebody else. But experience suggests that what we imagine is going to happen if we open is not actually what happens. It's not really what happens. Yes, there can be some recapitulation. Yes, there can be tears. Yes, there can be grief. Yes, there can be, sorrow and all those. But equally, that's counterbalanced by a deeper seeing into peace, a deeper seeing into one's life, a vision of joy, a relief. There's a lot to be said for relief. I think self needs relief. Yeah, it's not a fix. It's like a breath out. Recognizing the difficulty of being a human being alive at this or any other time. So what I'm saying is, is to be patient and to be kind, extremely kind to oneself, but to press into it, to lean into it, as somebody said, to lean into it and to go deeper. Because the deeper you go, the softer you get, and the softer you get, the more the veils that seem so real, shame, guilt, rage, anger, regret, self-worth, all of these kind of things, the more they start to lose some of their density, their rock-like nature. And the more you they become a little more ephemeral, and you start to see through them, And as you see through them, you almost see their opposites, and so you start to see love. You start to see innocence, start to see joy, start to see peace. You don't go through the bars, you dissolve the bars. The bars of the prison don't open. The bars of the prison are not actually there. They're a figment of the fiction of the self that had to protect itself so much against the world that it imagined was dangerous and hostile, which it was at that time. But we're trapped behind bars, but those bars are largely perpetuated and maintained by our own belief in the bars. And so as you go deeper, the bars start to shimmer a little bit until you realize the bars have gone. And then there's just a certain freedom. Everything changes, nothing changes. But the bars are gone.